In this video we're going to look at the technique of using trial and improvement to solve equations. You've already looked at other methods like the balancing method, but in this case it won't work, so we actually just use something called trial and improvement. So we tend to use a table, which you're pretty familiar with, and in the left hand column we put x. In the middle column we write the equation we're trying to solve, so in this case ours is x squared plus 2x. And on the right hand side we label it as our comment, and that's where we are right whether our trial is too high or too low. So to start with, we have to make a bit of a wild guess at our starting value for x. And what I would do is I'd look at this equation here and say, it's got an x squared in it, and the answer when you add two more lots of x comes to about 70. So I'd look at the x squared and say what number squared gives me approximately 70. Well, first one I can think of would be 8. So my first trial will be x being 8. So I take that value of x and I substitute it into this expression here, and I've already worked it out, and that will give me 80. Now that answer is higher than the one we're looking for, so over here I'm going to write too high. So next step is to take a whole number beneath 8, which might as well take us 7. So now using 7, we substitute into this expression, and that will give us 63. Now you can use your calculator for these sorts of things, so don't panic. So that answer is too low. So we now know the value of x lies somewhere between 7 and 8. So the next thing we're going to do is we'll go in the middle. Let's take 7.5, and this is definitely where you do need your calculator. So we're going to use the value of x being 7.5 and substitute it into that expression. And using your calculator, that should give you 71.25. Now once again, that answer is too high. But we now know, by looking at our answers here, the value of x we're looking for to one decimal place lies between 7 and 7.5. So let's have another go. We'll try 7.4 because we're pretty close. So we'll take 7.4, again we substitute it into the expression, and that gives us 69.56, which is too low. But we now know using to one decimal place the answer lies between 7.4 and 7.5. Now you could look at these two and probably have a good guess at which one it's closest to, but what we should do, and what the examiners look for, is a middle trial at 7.45, and you'll see why we go in the middle in a moment. So if I use 7.45, I get an answer of 70.4025, which is too high. Now we're nearly there, because we now know our answer lies between 7.4 and 7.45, but we don't need to do any more attempts, because if we tried 7.42 for example, yes, we'd get closer to the answer, but to one decimal place, 7.42 or 7.41 or 7.43, anything that lies in between these two numbers here will always round down to 7.4. So our solution here would be x would equal 7.4 to one decimal place.